The auction house of Velcor fell silent as Lot 47C stepped onto the block.
Female, Terran, age 28, healthy, undocumented colony stock. Opening bid, 1 million HFY credits.
From the shadows of a private booth, a long-fingered hand raised a gilded paddle. Bidding erupted in clipped increments. 2 million. A ripple of paddles. Lord Olaran countered without hesitation.
Sold. To Lord Olaran for 2.4 million HFY credits.
The woman on stage did not flinch. The glowing script on her collar read Lot 47C, but her eyes were unreadable. A Kvethi guard clipped a restraint leash to her collar and pulled her from the stage. Lord Olaran watched from his booth, a thin smile spreading across his pale features. They led her through a service corridor to a windowless transport. On its hull, House Olaran's crest gleamed in silver. The shuttle lifted off, its engine hum swallowed by the auction house's distant murmur. Inside, she sat motionless, bound for the HFY estates. The shuttle broke through the cloud layer and touched down on a crystal-lit landing pad at the HFY estate, its spires scraping the night sky. 2 HFY guards in ornate armor flanked her, their 4 eyes staring ahead as they marched her inside. The estate's crystal walls refracted starlight, casting rainbows over polished marble floors. She walked without resistance, her gaze calm and level, mapping the route in silence. A HFY guard palmed open a heavy crystal door, gesturing silently into the chamber. The guard opened the door and stood aside. Amanda paused, meeting his gaze.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
The guard did not respond. The door slid shut behind her with a resonant thud. Locks cycled into place, sealing her inside the sparse chamber. She sat on the narrow bed, hands folded in her lap, her expression unreadable. After a long moment, she rose and moved to the shadows beside the door, her fingers finding a seam in the tunic's hem. She worked the tiny bead free, no larger than a grain of rice, and rolled it between her fingers.
Active scanning confirmed. 12 passive sensors in this room alone.
She pressed the bead into her ear canal. A soft cyan light pulsed once, then vanished. She sent a silent data burst. 3 rapid subvocal clicks, and the bead confirmed transmission with a warmer tone.
Upload complete. Now the sweep.
From the same hidden pocket, she withdrew a flat scanner disc and began methodically scanning the walls. The disc vibrated twice, clear. No active monitoring beyond the standard passive array.
They think they own me. They don't even know what I own.
She returned to the bed and sat, hands folded again, but now a faint cyan glow pulsed in her ear. Hours later, when the estate fell silent, Amanda rose and pressed a thin tool to the door's seam. The locking mechanism clicked apart. She ghosted through the crystal corridors, the infrared overlay painting every surface in cool blue, every guard in warm orange. She reached a wing of identical doors. Through the first view panel, a young man sat on a bed, his frame gaunt, eyes hollow.
First one. He's been here for months at least.
She moved to the next door, and the next, documenting each captive with a subtle blink of her beads camera. 11 rooms, 11 shattered souls. A patrol of HFY guards rounded the corner ahead. She slipped into a dark utility alcove and held her breath. The guards' footsteps faded. She exhaled, counted to 10, and continued mapping the perimeter.
11, all in varying states. The youngest can't be more than 20.
She returned to her room and resealed the door lock. The bead pulsed twice, upload complete. On the narrow bed, she sat rigidly upright, eyes open, waiting. The next cycle. Guards entered without a word. They tightened her restraints and pulled her upright.
Right on schedule. Let's see what the collector wants to show off.
They brought her to a long dining hall where Lord Olaran awaited, seated beneath a crystal chandelier.
Sit, little Terran. You are now part of a very exclusive collection. Most of my pieces last years, but they never adapt as quickly as you.
Please. I don't want any trouble. I just want to be left alone. Guard rotations at 22 minutes. 2 at the west corridor. Heavy patrol east.
Olaran droned on about price and pedigree, unaware that every word was being catalogued. A guard tapped his wrist. Interval completed. Olaran waved dismissively and stood. She was returned to her chamber. The door sealed. She sat, but this time her stillness held a sharper edge. That same night, Amanda slipped from her room again, gliding toward a maintenance anteroom she had marked on her first patrol.
Utility Node 3. Should give me a direct tap into the security backbone.
She sealed the door behind her and knelt before an alien data terminal, pulling a thin interface cable from her belt. The terminal's schematics flickered as her software brute-forced the HESI encryption. A live feed of every corridor materialized.
Full coverage. Now to route this to the uplink.
She subvocalized a command, and the feed compressed, laser bursting through her bead to a relay satellite high above. But a guard drone hummed past the door. She froze, interface cable half connected, hand hovering over the terminal.
Not now. I need 30 more seconds.
Wheels scraped crystal. The drone paused, then continued. She exhaled and finished the link. Out in the corridor, she pressed 2 micro boosters to the wall. Their tiny LEDs flickered green. The estate's internal grid was now hers in the Terran Command Center. Commander Mwangji studied the incoming data with a grim set to his jaw.
Asset confirms 11 captives. All locations locked. Perimeter overwatch is live.
He manipulated the display, zooming into the captive wing and highlighting breaching points with quick flicks of his wrist.
Assault plan is green. Insertion at 0 dark 30 local.
The countdown appeared on the main board, 4 hours to the strike, red digits pulsing.
We wait for her final signal, not a second before.
In the armory adjacent, operators pulled on matte black armor and slid plasma cartridges into suppressed carbines. A young operator paused, his visor reflecting the countdown. "She's alone in there," he murmured.
She's exactly where she needs to be.
The assault team moved toward the drop pods, their hulls still warm from the pre-flight diagnostics. In her chamber, Amanda watched the minutes dissolve on her wrist display. Each pulse brought the assault closer.
3 hours to 0. Every system checks green. Just need to keep breathing and remember the drill.
She slipped out again, this time with a targeted purpose. A small EMP disc curved in her palm, ready. She pressed the disc to a sentry drone's housing. It twitched once and went dark, its camera eye dead. At the captive corridor, she paused. The gaunt young man inside was awake, staring at the door.
Stay calm. When the lights flicker, move to the door. It'll be open.
He nodded, understanding without words. She moved to the next door, repeating the quiet promise to each captive. A guard's heavy footstep echoed behind her. She pressed into the shadows, every nerve pulled tight.
Too close. He's looping back. Don't breathe. There, he's moving on. Still too much patrol tonight.
Back in her room, she locked the door and checked the time. 3:50. The signal waited under her fingertip. The display flicked to 3:58. Amanda pressed the send button and held it for 4 heartbeats. Outside, the estate's external lights flickered once and died. The perimeter grid went silent. High above 3 Terran drop pods punched through the cloud layer, re-entry plasma trailing in their wake. They landed on the roof in perfect silence, their impact cushioned by gravitic dampeners. 3 black armored operators detached from the pods and moved toward the edge. Cables uncoiled into the darkness. The first operative launched herself over the edge, rappelling down the crystal facade with her plasma carbine angled low.
They're on the wire. 17 seconds to ground floor.
One operator paused mid-descent, fired a silent dart through a balcony window, and continued without a sound. The mansion's interior lights flickered. Once, twice, then stabilized. Emergency systems remained blind. Amanda held her breath, listening to the muffled thump of boots on crystal. The breach had begun. Amanda slipped into the corridor, her breathing steady. A black armored figure stepped from the shadows ahead. She made the recognition signal, Thumb to palm pulse. The operator returned it, cyan visor dipping.
All teams, this is Mwangi. Phase 2 is active. The asset is Captain Amanda, Terran Special Operations.
The words landed like a blade. The operators paused for half a beat, then refocused.
Lead team, follow my beacon. Captives are in Corridor Beta 1. We clear them now.
The operator in front gave a curt nod and gestured forward, his weapon trained on the corner. Amanda pulled up the estate schematic on her wrist. Her stride, now that of a commander, not a captive. They moved in silent formation, boots padding on crystal, sealing off escape routes as they advanced. At the first captive door, the operator planted a breach charge. Amanda keyed the emergency release manually. The door hissed open. Inside, the gaunt young man stood waiting, as she had promised.
You did exactly what I asked. Now we move fast and silent.
I knew someone would come. Thank you.
The team swept through the remaining cells, each door yielding another hollow-eyed survivor into the corridor. A HFY guard lurched around the corner, hand rising toward his alarm. An operator's dart caught him before he could shout.
That was the last patrol. All captives accounted for.
11 gaunt figures shuffled forward, wrapped in thermal blankets, their eyes reflecting the faint red emergency lights.
11. We got them all. Now get them out.
The extraction route lit up on her wrist. She signaled the lead operator, and they pivoted toward the landing pad.
Captain, Olaran's quarters are breached. Perimeter teams are in position.
Amanda allowed herself a brief, cold smile. Then she turned and guided the last captive toward the night air. Inside Olaran's bedchamber, an armored operator rolled a flashbang across the crystal floor. The detonation lit the room white. Olaran screamed, clawing at his eyes. 2 operators wrenched his arms behind him and forced him to his knees. Amanda entered, the captive's tunic now smeared with dust. She stopped inches from his face.
You were bought. You are property.
I was never property. I was the trap you walked into.
A second team began planting incendiaries in the crystal corridors. Small charges, enough to start a fire that would be seen from orbit. Outside, the stealth shuttle touched down on the landing pad, ramp lowering into the pre-dawn mist. The captives shuffled up the ramp, wrapped in thermal blankets, their hollow faces lit by the orange glow spreading behind them. Amanda guided the young man onto the ramp, then paused. Behind them, the first crystal spire cracked and fell.
Get them out. I want this entire estate to be nothing but ash by sunrise.
The shuttle's ramp sealed, and the engines ignited, lifting them into the pre-dawn sky.
Captain, the Margaret is on approach vector, ETA 6 minutes.
Tell her we're bringing 11 reasons to celebrate.
Below the ascending shuttle, the estate's crystal vault ignited. Flames poured through the decorative gardens. Amanda stood at a viewport, watching the estate shrink into a blinding ember against the last of the night.
11 lives he thought he owned. Now the only thing he owns is a prison cell.
Behind her, the rescued captives huddled in thermal blankets, some weeping, others touching the stars outside as if dreaming.
Is it true? Are we really going home?
Yes, Thomas. It's over. You are all going home.
The shuttle broke the cloud layer. There, descending from orbit, the silhouette of the Terran warship Margaret grew against the lavender dawn, her hull a dark promise. The Margaret descended to a hover just above the estate's tallest spire, her 1.8 kilometers silhouette cutting the dawn. Her weapons remained stowed, but her presence was a punctuation louder than any broadcast. News drones flocked around her, their feeds transmitting live to every screen in the HFY capital. A holographic news anchor appeared in the public squares, the image of the burning estate displayed behind her. The anchor gestured frantically, but the real message was the Terran warship, motionless in the morning sky. Below, the HFY estate collapsed inward, crystal spires melting under the relentless orange heat. From the capital, the entire skyline could see the column of smoke rising, framed by the alien warship. A text crawl appeared. Terran Confederacy claims responsibility for rescue operation. Then, Auction House of Velcor operations suspended. extradition treaties invoked. By sunrise, the estate was a beacon of ash, and the galaxy knew that Earth had answered. The headline blazed, "Auction House of Velcor shut down by Terran authorities." The article showed a photo of Lord Oleron in restraints, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief, being led onto a Terran shuttle. Every Kvethi affiliate was frozen, their assets seized under treaties no one knew Earth had signed. Below the fold, 11 humans rescued, held in Hessie Estate for up to a decade. On the Margaret, the 11 captives lay in the medical bay, warm blankets wrapped around them, real food in their hands.
I never thought I'd see sunlight again.
Thomas stood at a viewport later, watching the stars streak by, his reflection gaunt but his eyes no longer hollow. The Kvethi syndicate collapsed in hours, every auction house, every trafficker, every buyer, exposed. Amanda stood in the doorway of the sickbay, watching the captives sleep, her expression unreadable again. The warship's engines hummed a steady rhythm. They were going home. Amanda left the sickbay and drifted to the observation bay. The star streaks blurred past the massive window.
Captain, you've been quiet, too quiet for someone who just brought down a trafficking empire.
Just tired, Commander. 8 years of this, and it never gets lighter.
You pulled off the impossible. The captives are safe, the syndicate is ashes, but I need to know. Are you okay?
He always asks that, but I never know how to answer.
She didn't reply. Instead, she left the observation bay and found Thomas standing at a viewport, watching the stars with a faint smile.
Captain Wangi said you were the one who found us. I wanted to thank you properly.
You already did. Just get strong, Thomas. That's all the thanks I need.
Thomas nodded and turned back to the stars, leaving her alone with the question she couldn't answer yet. The warship hummed onward. Somewhere behind them, an empire of traffickers was still burning, and Amanda still didn't know if she could walk away. The next cycle, Amanda stood in front of Commander Mwangi's desk, a holographic request form shimmering between them. The header read, "Transfer request, desk, assignment, terra firma."
Desk job, Captain. You just dismantled a trafficking syndicate, and you want to push papers.
I need to breathe. 8 years of being someone else. For now, I just want to be Amanda.
Mwangi studied her for a long moment, then signed the form with a flick of his wrist.
Approved. But I give it 6 months before you are climbing the walls.
Maybe. But I am not leaving for good. I am just standing still for a while.
You know where we are. The unit always needs you.
She nodded, and the transfer became official. For the first time in years, Amanda had nowhere to be but home. The Margaret docked at Terran Station, and 11 hollow-eyed survivors stepped onto a new world. Amanda walked out alone, a civilian duffel on her shoulder. Earthside, the 11 departed through a private dock. No announcements, no journalists, just a row of family members waiting with hollow eyes. A middle-aged woman saw Thomas and dropped her bag. She ran, her cries swallowed by tears.
Mom, I am here. I am really here.
She cupped his face, disbelieving, then pulled him into a tight, trembling embrace. Across the plaza, seated on a sun-warmed bench, Amanda watched with a coffee she hadn't tasted.
That's why, that right there, every time. But it doesn't fill the empty. Not really.
A little girl sprinted to another man, wrapping around his legs. Her laugh cut through the quiet. Amanda set the cup down, rose, and walked toward the transit hub without looking back. They would rebuild. She would fade. That was the point. She rented a small studio on the 40th floor. A view of the city but no neighbors.
Quiet. That's all I wanted, she told herself.
She set the duffel down and unlocked a sturdy metal drawer built into the wall. Inside lay a small cache of mission tokens, a worn data chip, a medal, a photo.
First op, the failed one. The one I almost didn't come back from. I keep these to remind myself why I still go.
She picked up a small badge, tarnished but clean, and set it on the shelf beside the window.
A promise to myself. Never forget why. and a reminder that I can still walk away.
Outside, the city lights blinked on as dusk settled. She watched for a long time, a mug of tea cooling untouched beside her. The desk job started Monday, but tonight she was just a woman in a room, the weight still on her shoulders, the silence a temporary truce. The token caught the last light of the sun, and she almost smiled. In a quiet office, half a planet away, Commander Mwangi sat alone, a personnel file glowing on his dark screen.
Captain Amanda. She always says she's done, and then another file crosses my desk.
He scrolled through the operation summary, the commendations, the quiet notations of psychological resilience. At the bottom, he typed 4 lines and signed with a retinal scan.
Recommended for reactivation priority. The service needs her, and she needs the service, whether she admits it or not.
The note glowed a moment, then filed itself into the sealed section of her record. He leaned back, the orange light catching the lines around his eyes.
She'll be back. They always come back. But I hope she rests first.
Miles away, Amanda sat by her window, the city lights casting long shadows. She traced the edge of the token on the shelf, the metal cool under her touch, and exhaled. Her mind drifted back. 8 years. A younger version of herself stood in a Terran briefing room, the walls lined with wanted posters.
I'll do it. I'll be the one they buy. If it gets us intel on the trafficking ring, it's worth it.
The panel had looked at her with respect and pity. She was too young to understand what she was volunteering for.
Maybe I still don't understand. Or maybe I understood too well, even then.
The memory shifted. The first time she was strapped into a drop pod, the hum of the engines, the terror of the unknown. Now, sitting in her quiet apartment, the fear felt distant, but the resolve remained sharp.
They're all home now. That's what matters. That's always what matters.
In the window's reflection, her face was older, the lines deeper, but her eyes held that same fire. She let the memory fade, settling back into the present, the token cool against her palm. A brief smile flickered. Then the peace of the quiet room returned. The city outside her window shimmered with 1,000 small lights, each one a story she would never know.
I could fade into that. Just a face in the crowd. No more briefings. No more aliases.
She leaned against the window frame, the cool glass pressing against her forehead.
But then the call would come. It always does. And I'd answer, because that's who I am.
A small, almost imperceptible smile crossed her lips.
Not yet, but soon, maybe. For now, I'll just be.
The room was still. The only sound, the distant hum of the city. She let the silence wrap around her. The armor of the operative set aside, if only for a night. She says she's done with cover work. She says it every time. The city lights blurred as her eyes closed, and the screen faded to black.